Most people think the fastest way to prove they're winning at life is to buy a brand new car. But what if I told you that shiny vehicle in your driveway is quietly draining your wealth and sabotaging your future without you even noticing? It sounds harsh, but the numbers don't lie. While you're paying thousands to impress people who probably don't care, your money could be working for you, multiplying and creating the freedom you've always prayed for. See, the world will never tell you this truth. Your car is not an investment. It's a cleverly marketed trap designed to keep you locked in debt and too distracted to build the business or financial peace God has called you to. But here's the good news. There's a smarter, biblical way to break free from this cycle, reclaim your money, and start making choices that build real success. In the next few minutes, I'll show you why everything you've been taught about cars and status is upside down, and how a few simple shifts can create a ripple effect that transforms your business, your wealth, and your legacy. So if you're tired of feeling like you're always behind, stuck in payments that steal your peace, stay with me. Because this could be the moment you choose to leave the crowd behind and start building wealth on purpose. The hidden trap. Why most people think a car means success. Most people don't realize how easily they fall into the hidden trap of believing that owning a flashy car automatically means they've made it. It starts with the subtle messages society plants in your mind since childhood. From commercials that show happy families driving shiny SUVs to influencers flaunting luxury rides on Instagram, the narrative is clear. If you want respect, you'd better have nice wheels. But this idea is more dangerous than most folks think because it ties your identity to a depreciating object. Think about how many times you've heard someone say, "I deserve a new car. I've worked hard." There's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself, but when that reward locks you into years of payments, insurance, and repairs, it stops being a blessing and starts feeling like a financial prison. Proverbs 22:7 warns us, "The borrower is servant to the lender." That verse isn't just poetic. It's a reminder that debt can quietly take control of your life, especially when you mistake consumption for progress. Here's something to chew on. The car companies don't actually care if you build wealth. Their business is to make you feel incomplete without their product. They spend billions every year on ads to convince you that driving a new model will make you more confident, attractive, and powerful. If you ever doubt it, just look at how every car commercial ends, with a promise that your life will feel different. That's not reality, it's marketing. One of my clients once financed a brand new SUV because he thought it would help him look credible when pitching his business. He spent over $900 a month between payments and insurance. But the irony? He couldn't afford to invest in his own marketing, which meant fewer clients and less money. It's a perfect example of why Proverbs also says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." In other words, don't eat tomorrow's harvest just to look successful today. If you feel the pull to buy a nicer car to impress your neighbors or colleagues, pause and ask yourself, is this really about transportation, or am I buying an image? There's power in being honest about your motivations. Because once you see the hidden trap, you can choose to step around it instead of falling in. And make no mistake, most people are falling in every single day without even realizing they're sacrificing their financial freedom. The real question isn't whether you want a nice car, it's whether you want to keep working just to pay for something that loses value every time you drive it. And if you think that sounds harsh, consider this. A business owner who invests that same money into their skills, brand, or team will probably end up with far more wealth and a better life than someone who spends it on four wheels. But as you'll see in the next part, it's not just the image of success that's costing you. The real numbers behind owning a car are even more shocking, and they're draining money from your future faster than you might believe. The real cost, what your car is actually draining from your wealth. Most people think the price tag on their car is the final number they need to worry about. But the truth is, that sticker on the window barely scratches the surface of what you'll end up paying over time. Every dollar you spend on your car is a dollar that doesn't get the chance to grow your money, build your business, or support your purpose. That's why Proverbs 27:23 tells us, "Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds." Today, your herds are your finances, and if you don't watch them closely, they'll wander off without you noticing. Let's break it down. Depreciation alone is like a silent thief. The minute you drive off the lot, your car can lose up to 15% of its value. Over 5 years, it's not unusual to watch $10,000 or more simply evaporate. Imagine if that money were invested in an S&P 500 index fund instead. Compounding at an average of 10% a year, you'd have thousands more working for you instead of rusting away in your driveway. That's the opportunity cost people ignore. Then you've got insurance, often another hidden drain. Even if you have a clean driving record, premiums keep rising, and every fancy upgrade or luxury feature makes them worse. Some young business owners I've mentored paid more in annual insurance than their entire marketing budget. That's a real example of how the cost of looking successful can sabotage your ability to actually make money and grow your wealth. Maintenance and repairs are the next big category. Sure, you might not see those expenses right away, but eventually every vehicle needs new tires, brakes, batteries, or unexpected fixes. And if you don't have a healthy emergency fund, those costs can throw your entire financial plan into chaos. Remember Ecclesiastes 11:2. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Diversification isn't just for investments, it's for preparing your money for inevitable surprises. Fuel is another relentless cost. Even modest cars can eat up thousands of dollars in gas every year. And if you're commuting to grow your business, that money doesn't automatically count as good debt. It's just more outflow that you need to plan for. In some cases, it makes sense, but in many, it's simply another leak in your financial bucket. Finally, there's financing. Interest payments are like a slow bleed. A 6% rate might look harmless on paper, but over years of payments, you're effectively paying thousands extra just for the privilege of borrowing money to buy something that gets cheaper every day. When you add everything up, depreciation, insurance, repairs, fuel, interest, the affordable car easily costs double what you thought. And that's before we even talk about the cost of opportunity, the wealth you could have built instead. Because while your car sits parked in the driveway, your money could have been out there working, compounding, and setting you free. But we'll dig into that next. The opportunity cost, how that money could make you rich instead. Opportunity cost is one of those financial ideas people nod along to but rarely take seriously. Yet it's often the hidden force that decides whether you end up wealthy or constantly stressed about money. The truth is simple. Every dollar you spend on something that loses value is a dollar you're not using to make money, build your business, or grow your financial security. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." When you rush to buy without considering the long-term impact, you trade future freedom for momentary pleasure. Imagine this. Instead of spending $700 a month on your car payment and insurance, you invested it consistently in a diversified portfolio, like an S&P 500 index fund or a mix of dividend-paying stocks. Over 5 years, assuming a 10% average return, you could have over $50,000 working for you. That's money you could use to seed your own business, put a down payment on a rental property, or simply give you a cushion to weather life's surprises. And don't think this only applies to stock market investments. Some of the most financially free people I know started by using that car money to buy equipment for their side business. One client redirected her car payment toward launching a small catering service. 3 years later, that little business was making more than her day job. That's the power of putting your money where it can multiply instead of disappear. Even something as simple as building a high-yield savings reserve can change your trajectory. Let's say you park that same $700 monthly in a 4% account for 5 years. You'd have over $46,000 saved. That money could cover emergencies, fund training to upgrade your skills, or buy inventory if you decide to open a store. Instead of being shackled by a depreciating asset, you're fueling possibilities. People sometimes tell me, "But I need a car to look professional." And I get it, perception can matter, especially in business. But here's the thing. In the long run, results speak louder than appearances. If you can show your clients you're reliable, creative, and excellent at what you do, they won't care whether you drove up in a 10-year-old Honda or a brand new luxury sedan. Proverbs 13:11 reminds us, "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." It's the small, smart choices that build lasting wealth. So next time you look at a monthly payment, ask yourself, what could this money become in 5 or 10 years? Because the true cost of owning that car isn't just the cash you spend, it's the compound wealth you never get to see. And as we move forward, you'll see that even the Bible has a lot to say about why this trade-off matters more than most people realize. The Bible's perspective, what Proverbs and Ecclesiastes say about debt and vanity. If you think the Bible is silent on money and possessions, think again. Scripture is full of wisdom about how chasing status can quietly drain your life and your wealth. Proverbs 13:7 says, "One person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth." That verse could have been written about the modern obsession with financing cars to look successful. It's a clear warning that outward appearances often hide inward poverty. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon writes that chasing after wealth for the sake of appearances is like chasing the wind. You might feel satisfied for a moment when you drive that brand new car off the lot, but the feeling fades fast, while the payments stick around for years. It's a trap many people fall into because they want to feel respected, admired, or secure, but real security doesn't come from what you drive. It comes from wisdom and diligence with your resources. Remember Proverbs 22, 26, 27. Do not be one who shakes hands in pledge or puts up security for debts. If you lack the means to pay, your very bed will be snatched from under you. It's a vivid picture, your bed being taken because of debt. Financing a car beyond your means is a modern example of exactly that risk. No matter how good it looks in the driveway, the burden can haunt your finances and steal your peace. I once mentored a young entrepreneur who financed a luxury car to impress clients. He thought it would prove he was serious about business. Instead, he ended up so stretched that he had to turn down opportunities because he couldn't afford to invest in marketing or new equipment. The car didn't grow his business. It starved it. Sometimes the simplest choices are the most powerful. Proverbs 15:16 says, "Better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil." The Bible doesn't condemn having nice things. It does, however, warn us against making those things idols or leveraging debt to maintain a facade. When you buy something primarily to look impressive, you're stepping onto a treadmill that never stops. The satisfaction fades, but the cost of keeping up appearances compounds year after year. That's why Ecclesiastes 5:10 says, "Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income." So, as you reflect on your financial decisions, ask yourself, are you buying to serve your life, or are you serving your purchases? This is a question that goes beyond money. It reaches into your purpose, your peace, and your ability to serve others. And in the next section, we'll look at how the social pressure to impress is even stronger than you probably realize, and how you can finally break free. The social pressure, why we feel forced to impress others, and how to escape. If you've ever felt like you had to buy a nicer car just so people would take you seriously, you're not alone. Social pressure is one of the strongest forces shaping how we spend money. From the time you're a kid, you learn that cars are more than transportation. They're symbols of success. And let's be honest, everyone likes the idea of pulling up in something shiny. But Proverbs 29:25 says, "Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe." That fear of other people's opinions is exactly the snare that keeps so many stuck in debt. In business, this pressure can be even more intense. You might think a luxury car will help you close deals or win clients. But here's what I've seen as a financial mentor. Clients care far more about whether you're honest, consistent, and excellent at what you do. Sure, a nice car might create a quick impression, but trust and results are what keep people coming back. And ironically, the money you spend trying to look successful could be invested in actually becoming successful. Culture doesn't make it easy to break free. Advertisers spend billions to make you feel inadequate without their products. They promise that a car will give you confidence, respect, and even love. But when you strip away the marketing, it's still just a machine that loses value every day. Ecclesiastes 4:4 captures this perfectly. "And I saw that all toil and all achievement spring from one person's envy of another." If you're buying to keep up with someone else, you're letting envy drive your money decisions. One entrepreneur I coached thought she needed a brand new SUV to prove she was serious. But once she realized she could redirect $800 a month into building her online presence and developing her skills, her business took off. Within a year, she was earning more than she ever expected, and no one cared what car she drove. That's a perfect example of how escaping social pressure creates room for real growth. So how do you break free? Start by clarifying what success actually means to you, not what others say it should look like. If your definition of wealth is peace of mind, time freedom, and generosity, then you don't need a car payment to feel valuable. And once you release yourself from that burden, you'll be amazed how much money and energy you have for what really matters. But before you can fully walk away from the need to impress, you have to understand how to replace it with a healthier path. In the next section, I'll show you practical steps, grounded in both business wisdom and biblical principles, to stop this slow financial leak once and for all. The wise path. Biblical and practical steps to stop the bleeding. Escaping the trap of car debt isn't just about saying no, it's about replacing old habits with smarter ones. The Bible is full of guidance on this. Proverbs 24:3 says, "By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established." The same principle applies to your finances. Wisdom isn't about depriving yourself forever. It's about choosing what builds your future instead of draining it. One of the smartest steps is to buy used, not new. A car that's 3 or 4 years old has already taken the biggest depreciation hit, often losing 30% or more of its value. That means you can drive something reliable without watching your money evaporate. It's a simple way to save thousands up front, money you can redirect to make money, like investing in your business or funding a Roth IRA. Next, follow the 15% rule. Never let your total car expenses exceed 15% of your take-home income. That includes your payment, insurance, gas, and repairs. If you earn $4,000 a month, your transportation budget should stay under $600. Staying within this limit creates breathing room to invest in assets that appreciate instead of liabilities that decline. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Consider also keeping your car for at least 10 years. The average American swaps vehicles every 3 to 5 years, burning wealth with every trade-in. But if you maintain your car well and resist the urge to upgrade, you'll save tens of thousands over a decade. That money can fund your children's education, expand your business, or support causes you care about. Imagine how your future would look if you stopped bleeding cash just to drive something newer. Remember Proverbs 6:8, where it says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways, and be wise." The ant stores up diligently so it never runs out. Financial wisdom is about preparation and discipline, not chasing status. If you learn to say no to what culture tells you to buy, you'll have the freedom to say yes to opportunities that actually enrich your life. Finally, commit to learning the basics of maintenance. Even knowing how to change your oil or diagnose common issues with a $30 scanner can save you hundreds every year. It's a small skill with a big payoff, and it's another way to break free from the dependency that car dealers and mechanics count on. But even with all these practical steps, the biggest transformation happens when you start thinking long-term. In the next part, we'll look at how small decisions today create a ripple effect in your business, your wealth, and the legacy you leave behind. The long-term impact, how smart choices about your car can transform your business and money. It's easy to underestimate how much today's decisions shape tomorrow's reality. But every dollar you spend or save sets the stage for your future. Proverbs 13:22 reminds us, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." That inheritance isn't just money. It's also habits, discipline, and the mindset to build wealth that lasts. When you choose wisely with your car, you create space to invest in things that compound over time. Think about the difference 5 years makes. The average car payment today is around $700. Over 5 years, that's $42,000, before insurance, maintenance, and fuel. But if you invested that same amount in a diversified portfolio with a 10% return, you could have more than $67,000 working for you instead of rusting in your driveway. That money could fund your next business venture, pay off your mortgage, or serve as a safety net when life throws you a curveball. Even beyond the numbers, the discipline of living below your means changes your mindset. You start to see money not as something to impress others, but as a tool to build freedom. One entrepreneur I coached chose to keep her old sedan and redirect the savings into a marketing course and a new website. Within a year, she doubled her client base and her profits. That transformation didn't happen because she spent more. It happened because she spent smarter. The impact stretches further than your personal finances. When you show your kids, or your community, what it looks like to prioritize purpose over status, you give them permission to do the same. You're modeling a life built on wisdom instead of impulse. Over time, those choices ripple out into a culture of stewardship and abundance. There's also the peace of mind that comes with knowing you're not stuck on the hamster wheel of debt. When you're not chained to a car payment, you have the flexibility to take a risk, pivot your business, or weather an economic storm without fear. Ecclesiastes 7:12 says, "Wisdom preserves those who have it." That preservation shows up in the freedom to make decisions on your terms. So as you consider your next financial move, remember this. The car you drive today can either drain your future or help fund it. The choice is yours. And in the long run, those choices add up to a legacy that goes far beyond the driveway. By now, you can see that a car is never just a car. It's a choice that either builds your wealth or silently steals it year after year. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped letting culture dictate how you spend your money? What if you redirected all that wasted cash into building your business, creating passive income, and finally stepping into the purpose God designed you for? If you've ever felt like you're working too hard just to stay in the same place, maybe it's because you've been investing in things that lose value the moment you buy them. But you don't have to stay stuck. You can make one decision today that starts a completely different story, one where your money works for you, not against you. Write in the comments, "I refuse to stay stuck in debt," and watch how this powerful declaration begins to shift the course of your business and your finances from this day forward. Are you ready to stop buying an image and start building real wealth? Are you willing to break free from the pressure to look successful and step into the freedom of actually being successful? If this message spoke to you in any way, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. And if you're serious about transforming your finances and your faith, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. You deserve to keep learning, growing, and building a life that honors God and multiplies your resources.